Here are 10 of the largest mega projects in the world, including one of the most opulent casinos in the world located along the Singaporean coast, that most billionaires dreamed for. Someone like Elon Musk also has a vision for this, a world full of sustainable gigafactories, a 110-mile linear city in the Saudi desert, and the largest water park ever constructed. This is a home to the world's tallest buildings in the whole world. Welcome to Highest Luxury, the home of the billionaires. If you haven't subscribed, I encourage you to subscribe, and I know you can do that in less than 5 seconds. Thanks for doing that for me. Alright, let's get started. Number 10, the Petronas Towers in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, were the highest structures in the world from 1998 until 2004. At 1,483 feet, the Malaysian Twins were only 33 feet taller than Chicago's Sears Tower, which later rose to become the second or third tallest structure in the world. The Petronas Towers are the tallest twin skyscrapers on Earth, standing at 2,717 feet tall, and housing National Petroleum Limited, a Malaysian oil and gas company, commonly known as Petronas. The Petronas Towers held that title until the construction of Taipei 101, in Taiwan, but then, the Burj Khalifa dwarfed everyone in 2010. You may climb to the observation deck on the 86th floor for a greater view of the Malaysian skyline, because the $1.6 billion towers also have the highest two-story bridge in the world, between the 41 to the 42nd floors. Given that Islam is the official religion of Malaysia, Argentinian-American architect Cesar Pelli chose a distinctive postmodern aesthetic to create a 21st-century landmark for Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Pelli combined Islamic architectural principles with Malaysian cultural elements. Unlike most mega-projects, the construction wasn't without its problems, though. A bad batch of concrete stopped it dead in its tracks. Fortunately, the builders had only used the weak concrete on the first floor. They tore it down, rebuilt it, and continued working, but the delay cost the project about $700,000 per day, making it one of the tallest buildings in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And that brought us to number 9 tallest building in the world. When Singapore decided to legalize gambling in the mid-2000s, many well-known companies competed for one of 2 spots, including MGM Mirage and Wynn Resorts. However, Las Vegas Sands, which owns the Venetian Casino Resort in Las Vegas, ultimately won the first of 2 spots, all thanks to their vision of a $3.2 billion gambling and entertainment district called the Marina Bay. Due to labor shortages and rising material prices, the project's total development cost was estimated at 8 billion Singaporean dollars as of 2009, or about $6.8 billion US dollars. As a result, it was dubbed the most expensive standalone resort property ever built. They contributed nearly $4 billion to the investment, on top of the $1.2 billion they paid for a project that has almost 6 million square foot site. The Marina Bay Sands Sports is a 2,500-room hotel with a 1.3 million square foot convention center, a mall, 2 Wolfgang Puck restaurants, and other celebrity chef eateries. The casino floor is a gambler's paradise with 500 tables and 1,600 slot machines. If I may ask, isn't this gorgeous? Well, the 1,100-foot skyway connecting the 3 buildings allows you to plunge into the infinity pool while admiring a stunning view of the Singapore skyline. Coming at number 8, in 2006, a Chinese development company called Country Garden announced their plans to build the enormous city. It was a 20-year project set in Johor Bahru, a Malaysian city, of North Singapore. Forest City, Malaysia was built as a $100 billion luxury city, a living paradise on Earth, but as of today, it is a ghost town, full of empty roads and deserted high-rises. According to Bloomberg, Country Gardens stepped in with their $100 billion Forest City idea, which involved building artificial islands a few hundred yards off the Singaporean coast. The Malay government saw how successful Singapore was with tourism and wanted to capitalize on that. The original idea pitched by Malaysia was to build a new metropolis near the causeway connecting Singapore to Malaysia. As of 2019, only 500 people call the new city their home, according to Business Insider. The population has allegedly increased to a few thousand, but it's still less than 5% of the anticipated residents. Country Gardens sold off the dream of luxury apartments, hotels, offices, golf courses, and tech parks to eager Chinese investors, who sunk thousands of dollars into the soon-to-be-built apartments. You're better off buying in Johor Bahru, where the average sale price is about $141,000 and there are actual signs of life. If you wanted to know how much it would cost to move to Forest City, well, unfortunately, the prices have skyrocketed in recent years. In 2017, a Forest City apartment only cost about $170,000. Today, they cost about $1.14 million, making it one of the biggest and tallest building in the beautiful city of Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, which allows you to see the amazing view of the city, and that takes us to number 7 on our list. Number 7, you're currently looking at the Saudi Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman's NEOM project, also known as The Line. Some have dubbed it the sustainable city of the future, while others believe it to be a so-called suicide city. Down the Red Sea, between Saudi Arabia and Egypt, you suddenly see your reflection along a 110-mile mirror. But wait, that's not a mirror. It's a 1,600-foot tall, 660-foot wide building, and there is the $725 billion city, will run on nothing but sustainable energy. There won't be any cars either. Instead, the MBS imagines a high-speed underground train that can get you from end to end in just 20 minutes. Flat residents will enjoy a lush outdoor landscape between the two mirrored buildings. Those buildings' idea really will house and employ about 9 million people. The line will also remain under the watchful gaze of AI. MBS says it's to use data models to find ways to improve the city, but it sounds a little matrixy to us. It's all part of something called Vision 2030, which aims to make the oil-rich country the world leader in sustainable innovation. Work began on The Line in late 2022, with drone footage coming out in October, showing what looks like the initial groundwork. According to Saudi officials, one could be living in this building as soon as 2023. Number 6, according to Elon Musk, when the Gigafactory in Reno, Nevada is complete, it will have the largest footprint of any structure in the world, bigger than the Great Pyramid, the Empire State Building, and the Burj Khalifa. Counting multiple levels, we're talking about 15 million square feet. However, every inch will run on renewable energy. Now you've probably seen Elon Musk talking with Leonardo DiCaprio about the Gigafactory and its environmental impact. According to the Tesla CEO's calculations, it would take 100 gigafactories worldwide to power the entire planet with sustainable energy. But unfortunately, the current Gigafactory in Nevada is about 30% complete. Tesla finally announced plans to expand the factory in 2022. But the full-scale building is still a distant dream that Elon Musk has been thinking about the Gigafactory his whole life. But official plans didn't kick off until 2014, when Panasonic agreed to invest in the $5 billion project. Well, let's figure it out. It was time to determine where the Tesla toured several locations, never thinking about northern Nevada. But after a little convincing and several private trips, Tesla finally settled on the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center. While the Nevada factory is the biggest, but that is not the only Gigafactory. Tesla owns Giga New York, located in Buffalo, which focuses on power pack batteries and solar panels. Giga Texas, the company's newest factory in Austin, serves as Tesla headquarters and acts as assembly site for Model This Y's Model 3 Cybertrucks and Cyber Semis. The two more Gigafactories exist outside the US, one in Shanghai, China, and the other in Berlin, Germany. Number 5, Jubail, Saudi Arabia used to be an ancient fishing village on the Persian Gulf. It was full of deserted suburbs until the mid-1970s, when an American engineering company called the Bechtel Corporation broke ground on the largest industrial city in the world, spanning more than 687 square miles. Upon its completion, the new site contributed to about 7% of Saudi Arabia's total GDP. At the turn of the millennia, the Saudi royal family decided to expand operations in Jubail, and Jubail 2 was born, considered by many to be the world's largest civil engineering project in the world. Jubail sought to double the city's original size. The project provided housing for 120,000 new residents and built a brand new 18,000 student university. And today Jubail is a major player in the global energy market, attracting the best and brightest tech and business minds across the globe. And according to estimate, Jubail 2 could make them the major player during peak working seasons. The Jubail 2 project employs up to 20,000 workers per month, and about $4 billion has been invested in infrastructure, which includes hundreds of miles of roads, water, waste facilities, and utilities. Another $18 billion will go toward building the expansion itself. In fact, the project is so big that they broke it into 4 phases. And over 22 years now. The current timetable has it that Jubail 2 will be completed by 2024. Number 4. Lusail is the second largest city in Qatar. If you watch the 2022 World Cup finals, you might recognize Lusail Stadium, the largest of its kind, in the Middle East. The Qatari government built the Lusail and 7 other stadiums, specifically for the World Cup, costing about $6.5 billion. Some experts estimate Qatar spent about $200 billion over 12 years to make the World Cup happen in the first place. Not to mention the countless human rights violations. According to Bloomberg, a chunk of that change went toward building Lusail City itself, a mega-project that costs around $45 billion. The area was still a desert when Qatar won the World Cup bid in 2010. They wanted to have it finished before the event, but according to ESPN writer Mark Ogden, the city feels more like a dystopian scene, straight out of a Christopher Nolan movie when it's completed. Lusail is expected to house about 450,000 people, including 250,000 residents, 190,000 office workers, and 60,000 retail staff members at once, making it one of the most beautiful and largest building ever constructed in the beautiful city of Qatar. Number 3. The Blue Nile River, one of the 2 primary Nile tributaries, is a lifeline for northeastern Africa. It flows North Lake Tana, in Ethiopia, through Sudan and into Egypt, some 1,600 miles downstream. In the early 2010, Ethiopia announced plans to build a $5 billion dam on the Blue Nile. The project underwent several name changes at one time, called the Millennium Dam, but builders finally settled on the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, or GERD in a nutshell. The point of the GERD was to supply ample electricity to Ethiopia, a country that before GERD saw 60 of its people living in darkness. Ideally, the GERD will produce so much power that Ethiopia can sell electricity to the surrounding countries like Sudan and Egypt. The dam was supposed to be opened in 2017, but feuds between Ethiopia, Sudan, and Egypt kept stalling the project. Egypt relies heavily on the Nile River and believes the GERD will significantly limit the amount of water available by the end of time. Number 2. In January of 2008, the UK decided it was time to expand its nuclear energy capabilities after some negotiations and budgetary conversations. The idea for Hinkley Point C was born, joining the ranks of Hinkley Points A and B. At the time, Hinkley B was the UK's most productive nuclear power plant, but it closed in August of 2022 due to old age. Thankfully, plans for Hinkley Point C were already underway, plans that now have a £25 billion price tag. But it wasn't always that expensive. EDF is the French energy company spearheading the project. They wanted to have the plant opened and operational by 2025. But several setbacks and a global pandemic kept pushing the completion date. According to the BBC, the limited number of workers allowed on site during COVID cost the project more than 500,000 days of critical work between 2020 and 2021. When it's done and paid for, Hinkley Point says twin unit reactor will be able to produce 3260 megawatts of low-carbon energy for the next 60 years. By comparison, a typical coal plant only produces 600 megawatts of energy. According to EDF, Hinkley Point C will provide enough clean energy to power 6 million homes until the 2080s. Number 1. The Yangtze River is the heart and soul of China. Nearly 1/3 of China's population, about 400 million people, live along the river basin or its tributaries, and rely on it every day. But as it stands, northern China's more industrialized and arid regions struggle with dry rivers and restricted access to water. It's been that way for, well, forever. Then in the 1950s, Mao Zedong floated the idea of a massive engineering project that could solve China's water problem in a few short years. The idea was to build 3 canal systems, one in the east, another one in the west, and one in the middle. Of course, politics and controversy kept the project in the planning phase for about 50 years. Construction began in 2003, and it's expected to take another 50 years to finish. Not to mention the $62 billion price tag. Fun fact, that is more than twice the cost of the Three Gorges Dam. When it's done, the South-North Water Transfer Project will divert 44.8 billion cubic meters of water annually to drier areas in northern China. It'll also link China's 4 main rivers, the Yangtze River, the Hawaii, and the Heihu River. And if all goes according to plan, Water diverted from the Yangtze River near Yangzhou City will travel east along existing channels to the Weishan Mountains of Shandong. From there, it'll cross the Yellow River via a tunnel and flow into Tianjin. The central route will divert water from the Hawaii River to flow up to Beijing. They wanted this leg finished on time for the 2008 Olympic Games, but only about a fourth of the route was built. And finally, the western route will divert 4 billion cubic meters of water from 3 tributaries along the Yangtze and send it about 300 miles across the Bayan Mountains and into northwestern China. If you enjoyed this video and want to see another just like this, be sure to like and subscribe. With that being said, thank you for watching and be sure to watch more of our videos on this channel.